Hi parents, welcome to the 2020-21 school year at CCK. We are so excited to have your child in kindergarten this year. I'm Kelly Claggart and this is Carolyn Williams. We're going to take a second to introduce ourselves and then I'm going to walk you through your child's daily schedule and tell you a little bit about the curriculum that we use during the year. I'm going to let Carolyn go first and introduce herself.
Hey, I'm Carolyn Williams. I've been at CCK since about 2008, and I've worked in several different areas, and I've also substitute taught. And this year, I'm excited about teaching kindergarten. I have two boys. One is in 11th grade at Charlotte Christian School, and then I have a sophomore who is a sophomore at Texas Christian University. And they both went here to school here, and I'm just excited to see the smiling faces.
And I'm Kelly Claggart. I've been at CCK for 17 years. I am a certified Augustine literacy tutor, and I've also taken the Orton Gillingham educator level. I love working with kindergartners because we teach them to read, and it's my favorite thing to do. I have two daughters. One is a first grade teacher with CMS, and my youngest daughter is a junior at Chapel Hill. And so we are so excited to get started and welcome your child. And we will have had an opportunity to meet them at open house and can't wait to see their faces on a regular basis. So I'm going to walk a little bit closer and I'm going to start walking you through their daily routine so that you can help guide them as they enter our classroom. So each morning, you will walk your child to the door beside the sanctuary. If you are facing the sanctuary, the door you will enter is on the right. So you'll walk up the sidewalk beside the sanctuary and meet a teacher at that door. That teacher will take your child to the check-in station and they will have their temperature taken every morning and we will check them in. They will be brought immediately to the kindergarten room. We are directly across from that room so they do not have a long way to go in the morning to get to us. When they arrive, one thing that's a little bit different, book bags, coats will be hung outside the classroom. So we have put coat racks, hangers all along the wall outside the classroom, so they'll be able to put their book bag and their coat there. They will then come to the door. So one thing that we have that's special about our classroom is that we have a secret passcode word that they have to give us every morning. What they do not realize is that the secret passcode word is actually a sight word. So that's how we practice our sight words. So for about 3 to 4 days in a row, they'll see the same word, and that will be the secret code to get in the room. They'll be looking at that word and reading it from sight. We will introduce that in circle time and spell that sight word down our arm and learn what we call a sight word story to help us remember what that sight word is. But they will come in, they will immediately wash hands. That is the first business that we take care of in the morning. They then will go and trace the letter of the day that we're working with and the number. And they'll be doing that with tape with their fingers, so they will not be sharing a marker. They will then come check in with their name to let us know that they've arrived for the day. And then they will have morning work at their tables. Morning work usually consists of practicing a skill that we have learned the day before. So we teach it, and then the next day we give them a chance to actually practice that. So they will spend a little bit of time at their tables in the morning doing morning work. They will check that in, and then we will move immediately into our math unit for the day. And we use Envision Math. And Mathematics Their Way is the way we teach, which is multisensory. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But we will complete our math unit. Then the children will come to Circle. Circle will be done in chairs this year with just a few friends sitting on the carpet. And I'm going to back my computer up to get a little bit closer to the board so I can walk you through what Circle looks like. Because we talk about calendar and weather, but it's a lot more detailed than that, and I want you to understand what we're doing. So we will talk about the month. We will put up the day of the week and the date. Also incorporated with this, you'll notice there's some apples up here. I don't know if you can see clearly, but I have a red apple, green apple, red apple, green apple. So although that looks like apples, what we're really teaching is an AB pattern. So that is incorporated in our calendar in the morning as well. We will talk about what day was yesterday, what day is today, and what day is tomorrow. We'll talk about first, second, third, talk about ordinal numbers, and talking about putting days of the week in order. They'll choose a day of the week and put that up. And then we'll move to using our abacus to do what we call a math story. And so, for example, we'll learn that there are 10 beads on each row. Let's say this was the second day of school. So I would count out 1, 2. To create my number story, I might say, well, Rory has 2 apples, and Dylan gave him how many more? And they would count over here to realize that 2 and 8 make 10. So then we would move over to Ben, and we are doing Ben knows his tens, and we would write 8 and 2 and write that equation up there. And so what they're learning as a part of calendar are combinations of 10, grouping and making those equations of combination of 10. We'll then add on our hands, as we count the days that we're in school, we'll learn to count by 5s, 10s, and then groupings by 2. So that is part of our calendar as well. We'll also do some tactile math. We will weigh. We'll put 10 on one side, put 2 bears of one color on one side and 8 of another, and see if our numbers are equal. So we'll weigh them, and we can also measure them. So we're working a lot of mathematics into that calendar and some literacy skills as well. So we will have circle and do that. Then we will move on to the core component of our literacy curriculum. We'll be starting with letter book C, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about this in a minute. But we use the Lippincott series of letter books. One thing to note is that the scale and scope is not alphabetical. We are not starting with A, we're starting with C. The reason is for ease of writing and reading. And so we will quickly start blending sounds together to make words, even though we haven't worked our way through the entire alphabet. So just be aware that the scale and scope is not alphabetical. But we will introduce our literacy concept and start to prepare for our lesson in our letter book for the day. We'll do our core literacy component, and then we will go to centers. Centers will be a little bit limited this year just because of some changes we've made within the classroom. But children will have an opportunity to go to centers to spend time with friends, social distancing at a safe place. And we will be working one-on-one with some of the students to, again, practice what we've just learned, to reiterate sound and letter recognition, just practicing a lot of skill sets right after that. So some kids will do art, some will work with the teacher, and some will go to centers, and we will rotate through doing that throughout the week until everyone's had an opportunity to experience each center and section. After that, we would usually have lunch. We will alternate outside time with Miss Sneed's class. Sometimes we'll go a little bit earlier towards the end of the day, and sometimes we will go at the very end of the day. Whatever time we have left, we will practice additional skill sets. We might have some math that we need to complete. At the beginning of the year, we will be defining numbers and working on what that looks like. It's one thing for me to write the symbol for number 2, but what is number 2? So we will actually define that and practice that a little bit. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, I'll start with our literacy curriculum. Again, we use the Lippincott series. It's a multi-sensory, multimodal curriculum, which means that your child will be doing fine motor work, gross motor work, auditory skills. It is a combination of learning styles built into one curriculum. There is also some math, believe it or not, built into our literacy curriculum. I'll just show you a couple of pages. Most important thing is phonetics, and that is really getting that sound and letter down pat. Lots of times we tend to add vowel sounds to our consonant sounds in the South, and so we make sure that we get those correct. They'll be writing letters correctly. That's important. Again, starting with C, we'll talk about starting at the 2 o'clock dot. We'll describe how we write it. Fine motor is very important here. We find that once your child builds really strong fine motor skills, it allows that cognitive flow to happen very easily, and we don't want them struggling with fine motor, so we do a lot of work with fine motor. They will complete 24 letter books, and I know you're saying there are 26 letters in the alphabet, but K and Q are combined, and X and Y are combined, just for ease. So they will complete that, and we will work our way through that. You'll have an idea once you look at it of exactly what they're completing in each book. Then we'll talk a little bit about math. Our math is Envision Math. Pearson Envision, this is what CMS uses. We do not necessarily walk through it in order, but we pull out core units and again use mathematics their way methods of teaching. For example, you'll notice up here I have a 10 frame. We'll talk about part, and the whole. So I have 5 blue, 3 green. So part is 5, part is 3, and the whole is 8. We'll use an alligator's mouth to compare numbers. We know that the alligator always eats the larger numbers, so 5 is greater than 3. Again, they will have their own 10 frame and counters to use to complete. Again, we'll be working on defining numbers, but also combinations of 10 with this. We'll play a lot of math games. I find that games are great with both literacy and math. With math, we will use a cube and roll it and combine 2 numbers. We'll compare numbers, define numbers. So we'll use a lot of counting and mathematic games. With literacy, you'll notice I have what I call my magnetic spelling board. It's real important to me that we teach grammar and spelling in addition to reading. Lots of times I focus on reading, but I find if you teach the grammar with fun little chants and rhymes, and you teach the spelling, your child will be much stronger in literacy as a whole. So you'll see I pulled out cat. We tap with our fingers, act, and blend. You'll notice we blend. We're always working left to right in literacy. Cat, cat, cat. Orton Gillingham method says do everything in a series of 3 and your child will learn it. So we will repeat a lot of things in 3. So when we blend that, we say cat, cat, cat. Again, playing math and literacy games. And so our day is full of core curriculum, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to have a curriculum night where we can give you a little bit more information and details about curriculum. One thing I do want you to be aware of, as they do daily work, I will be putting a lot of that in a file at the beginning of the year, so some of that will not be coming home. But if I do send something home, it will be a few days before you actually receive anything to begin with, because we're actually going to let that work sit for a day or 2 before I check it. You will have a home folder. If your home folder comes home at night, there's a good chance there's homework in there. And I typically have not done homework, but I feel like because of the learning gap we had in the spring, it's a good opportunity just to practice things. No pressure. I would like to get it back the next day, but if you don't have an opportunity to get to it to that night, just send homework back as quickly as you can. Again, we look forward to seeing your child. We will have a Zoom meeting following this at 7:30, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have at that time. So Carolyn and I cannot wait to get started, and we will look forward to seeing you on Monday, September 14th with your bright smiling faces. Take care and talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.